Much for being here. You are the first president since Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive terms. Republicans now have control of the House and the Senate.
Right.
What do you plan to accomplish in your first 100 days in office?
Well, we're going to do something with the border, and very strong, very powerful. That'll be our first signal, and a first signal to America that we're not playing games. We have people coming in by the millions, as you know, and a lot of people shouldn't be here. Most of them shouldn't be here, but we have jails being emptied into our country. We have mental institutions from all over the world being emptied into our country. So we'll be doing that. We're going to be extending within that period, or as soon as we can, the Trump tax cuts, because, you know, they're coming due and they're very substantial for people. And it would be very, I think it will anger a lot of people.
And a lot of people is betting on starting their business off these tax cuts. A lot of people can't wait for these tax cuts. It's going to be extra money. They can start investing, and I ain't going to lie, in higher margins. So, yeah, a lot of people are depending on Trump to come through on his promises, especially the ending taxation on Social Security, ending taxation on overtime. Yeah, a lot of things are going to help out, not just the rich, but the common man as well.
The same tax cuts that y'all are scared of are the same tax cuts that y'all are going to be benefiting from once implemented.
And what's good, Mike G, man? Glad to see you too, my brother.
People, frankly, if we don't get an extension of that, that's what led us to one of the greatest economies ever. And those two things are going to be very vital, very important. We're going to be focusing on crime in the cities, and we'll work with Democrat governors. Most of them are, as you know, if you look at the 25 worst places, they're just about all Democrat-controlled cities and states, and we're going to be working with Democrat governors and Democrat mayors, and I look forward to doing it. But we have to do something about crime, and mostly in our cities. And we're going to have a lot of other things. We'll be working on nominations. We're going to still be working on some nominations. I think they're going very well. We have, for the most part, I think they're going extremely well. It looks like Peter's doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton and went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
We are going to delve into your nominations, but since you bring him up, do you still have confidence?
I mean, he's going so hard for Pete, but he just let Matt Gaetz flow down the river. It is a bit confusing, but it is what it is.
Well, Matt Gaetz kind of bowed out on his own behalf. Like, I think he kind of wanted to pull out as to not distract from the Trump campaign or any of the other cabinet picks. It was a move made out of humility, but I would have liked to see him stick in there. Take the heat. You know, aligning yourself with Trump, it was going to come. But ultimately, I guess he did it for him and his family.
Make sure y'all double tap the screen and like the video and hit the 3 dots up there, man. We're in for a good stream. Let's keep it going.
Yes, I do. I really do. He's a very smart guy. I've known him through Fox, but I've known him for a long time. And he's basically a military guy. I mean, every time I talk to him, all he wants to talk about is the military. He's a military guy. I used to kid him about it. I didn't think it would be in this position where he may be, hopefully will be Secretary of Defense. But every time I was with him, he was fighting for soldiers, where he said some soldier was unjustly put in prison because they were really doing what they were taught to do in some cases. So, yeah, I think he's going to do fine.
The fact that there are these allegations against him, misconduct, sexual misconduct, heavy drinking, the fact that he said to some senators reportedly he'll stop drinking if he gets this job, does that worry you?
No, I think that everybody has something that they can stop. Some people can stop eating. I'm lucky I'm not a drinker, but I could stop eating. And we all want to stop doing something. And if he said that, I mean, it's a nice thing to say. That's a good thing to say. But he's very respected. I can tell you, I know a lot of the people at Fox, they think he's.
And these politicians got to stop this high and mighty act. Like, oh, he has a drinking problem. Like, he drinks on the job. Like, no one's confirmed that.
Hold on. You shouldn't be talking about no drinking problem after Kamala Harris came out with her last performance.
That, and no one's confirmed the fact that he was drinking on the job. That's just people who don't like the man who are trying to vilify him. Like, all these politicians enjoy a nice cold whiskey after a long, hard day of lying to us.
Okay.
Let's not be funny here, guys. Like, he's the only politician who likes to drink in his spare time. And Trump made a good point. We could all stop doing something. We all got a vice or two that we could benefit from not doing. So don't hop on his ass unless you perfect.
And when Kamala Harris finally decided to address y'all after the loss, you're gonna sit here and tell us that she did not look a little, smashed a little bit, a little tipsy. Like, come on now.
She was going in that concession speech.
Okay, so come on now. You better not be talking about Pete.
It's fantastic. And the people that work with him, really, they love him. So I think you're going to have somebody that's really terrific. And again, all he talked about with me, I said, you're not really a television guy, even though he did very well, as you know. You're really a military guy. He said, I'm all about the military. And I told him, so he's making a lot of money at Fox. They're doing very well. And I said, if for some reason you don't get this thing, you're not going to be able to go back. And all that money you're making, you can kiss it goodbye. He said, this is all about America. He didn't say, well, let me think about it. Let me discuss it. That's a very big, risky thing he's doing. When he goes and he says, I'm going to give up, millions of dollars in order to possibly become the Secretary of Defense. A lot of people would say it's a great position. It's probably almost no greater position, but a lot of people would say, I have to think about it. He said, I don't have to think about it.
All right, we're going to delve into
sure,
your cabinet picks
sure.
a little bit later, but I want to delve into one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States' three biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe
Can
it.
you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow, but I can say that if you look at just pre-COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries, but in particular, China. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars and we had no inflation. In fact, when I handed it over, they didn't have inflation for a year and a half. They went almost 2 years just based on what I had created. And then they created inflation with energy and with spending too much. So I think I'm a big.
And for those of you who said, oh, well, he inherited a good economy, I know, and he made it better. And then within 2 years, Biden sinks it. Crazy.
Believer in tariffs. I think tariffs are the most beautiful word. I think they're beautiful. It's going to make us rich. We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world.
Right.
And all I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field.
Which is almost to say, if we're going to pay their bills, at least make it worth our while. God damn.
Real.
We over here twerking or tricking on Mexico and other countries, and it ain't even serving us no good.
Like, for real. I mean, bro, not only are we tricking off with them, getting them the best on the trade deals, but then they take advantage of our immigration policies and our trade. And China's choosing to build factories down there. Actually, they already are.
That's a fact.
They already are. They got Nissan down there selling countries in our economy. I'm like, oh,
They
yeah.
took our manufacturing.
This is abuse.
And so, yeah, Trump makes a great point right there. Like, yeah, if we're going to be giving all this money to them, helping them out, like, come on, guys, when does it stand to serve us? When is it going to benefit us?
Man.
Sir, your previous tariffs during your first administration cost Americans some $80 billion. And now you have major companies from Walmart, Black & Decker, AutoZone saying that any tariffs are going to force them to drive up prices for their consumers. How do you make sure that these CEOs, that these companies don't, in fact, pass on the cost of tariffs to their consumers?
They cost Americans nothing. They made a great economy for us. They also solve another problem. If we were going to have problems having to do with wars and having to do with other things, tariffs, I have stopped wars with tariffs by saying, you guys want to fight, it's great, but both of you are going to pay tariffs to the United States at 100%.
Damn.
And they have many purposes, tariffs. if properly used. I don't say you use them like a madman. I say properly used.
Mhm.
But it didn't cost this country anything. It made this country money. And we never really got the chance to go all out because we had to fight.
And this is what we've always said about tariffs, or how Trump intends to use his tariffs, is they are a negotiating tool, like a get in line kind of thing. Like, understand that when he says I'll implement a 1,000% tariff, it isn't really meant to be it really isn't meant to be enacted, guys. It's just more so something that you hear as that company he's talking about and go, you know what, maybe we better play
Hey,
ball.
bro, the tactic is get down and get taxed.
Yeah.
Out your ass. Like, bro, we're gonna tax you out of existence. No, we're gonna tax you out the market.
Because when you hear something like that and you're China, you're Mexico, or you're Black and Decker, you're Ford, you're Jeep, you're just kind of like, well, goddamn, like, what are our other options then?
I mean, come on, can you live without selling in the best economy in the world?
Yep, the largest market, one of the largest free markets in the world.
I mean, wouldn't that drastically bring down your stock like globally?
So they need to be able to operate in the American market. So with Trump's tariffs, or how he plans on implementing, again, guys, it's like a leveraging tool.
I always say
play ball.
And there's more power to the people. Like, bro, these companies are more scared of us allowing Trump to carry out these tariffs and letting their product prices rise, understanding that, yo, we're not gonna let you cost us jobs no more. Yeah, we'll buy American products if it means that you won't take it. These other countries won't take advantage of us.
And shout out Leonard Cogan, $2. Churchill was a big drinker, but he was the man. Yeah, he did do a lot while he was prime minister for Britain. He did a lot.
Oh yeah, Leonard Cogan, man, make sure to join our Discord as well, man.
Some good, some bad.
Oh yeah, he did some good and some bad things, but hey, bro,
he was a man for a while.
He was that guy. He was that guy. He was the guy at that time.
He was their big dog, man. Pulled up smoking the old school fat cigars
with whiskey,
man.
COVID in the last part, and we did it very successfully. And when I handed it over to Biden, the stock market was higher than what it was just previous to COVID coming in. It was actually higher. Tariffs are properly used, are a very powerful tool, not only economically, but also for getting other things outside of economics.
Well, again, prices did go up on some goods in your first administration, washing machines, tires. Will you punish CEOs?
Let me just explain to you. No, you mentioned washing machines. So you look at Whirlpool in Ohio. I got a call from Jim Jordan, one of the greats, congressman from Ohio. And he said, they're going out of business because South Korea and China are dumping washing machines into our country. And I put a 50% tariff on the washing machines coming in.
Do you get what he's saying? They're dumping their products into our country at, I would say, damn near 50% less. So how do we compete with that when they're bringing in cheaper products that don't even work well as ours? But like I said, it's like the American people are unconsciously selling themselves out for these cheaper products, and you don't even know it.
Because as a consumer, you're going to go with the best deal, right? And we actually reacted to this in that Chinese documentary the other day. These people steal American patents, and actually with this strategy, they don't even have to be stealing patents. They just flood the market with cheaper goods. That way, as a consumer, you're forced to think about it. What will I buy? $1,000 American-made washer and dryer combo, or am I going to buy the $700 combo? It's not a tough decision to make as a consumer.
It really isn't. But the sad reality is, though, when you go around and you see all these washing machine factory closed and you see more homeless on the street, just look at your washing machine and be like,
and you're just sitting there like, this was a slow enacted plan, huh?
Or your Chinese or Japanese made car, and you wonder why the auto plants in America don't close down in your city. Auto plants don't close down in your city. Remember, you helped towards it.
You were a pawn in all of it.
From China and South Korea. And Whirlpool and the companies that made washing machines, which are based in Ohio, largely based in Ohio.
And make sure to like the video, man. Go ahead and double tap that screen or hit the 3 dots up there to like the video. We appreciate the support. And super chat any questions, comments, or jokes, $1 and up. We appreciate the support, man.
And if we a fake conservative, man, get on the horn and let us know why. It is the call-in show Sunday, man. So go ahead and super chat $5 or more. Hey, maybe even one of the supporters will super chat it in for you. But step up and claim your position, man. Go ahead and step on the horn and debate your stance.
And shout out, man. Shout out Mike G. He said once those tariffs being placed, the big three will be coming marching back home to the USA overtime. Yeah, and I guarantee it. I guarantee it because nobody want to get hit with that tax and get their products priced out because that's what they're doing to us. So we got to do it back to them. If they're dropping washing machines off, killing our economy, killing our washing machine prices, then the only thing to do is to put a tax on them to either bring it up to either our price or higher. So we can get them American, so we can get American-made products in the economy. We're getting bought again.
And that is so funny, guys. It's like I said, we're pawns to all of this shit. Think about that: $100 70-inch TV you bought on Black Friday. Chinese good that ain't gonna last you past a year or two, but you got the deal, right? The deal of a lifetime. You got the deal of a lifetime, right, guys?
Is there any American-made TVs?
I mean,
see, that's what I'm saying. There's certain products. Certain products you got the excuse on.
I'm sure there is some TVs that are at least assembled in America that probably will last you a little bit longer.
Oh God, because like, bro, our phones. Nobody here probably has one phone that's made in America. And if you do, man, you are the special few. I don't know where the hell you got that phone, but let me know.
I mean, it is kind of hard to pinpoint a product that is not only manufactured but assembled in America. Because think about it, a lot of these products, they might be assembled, but their manufacturing is done somewhere else. The parts are shipped in and they just put the shit together. A lot of these car manufacturers actually do that. So when you say made in America, it kind of gets a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. All right.
But shout out Jazz, work from home, $5. We appreciate that. She says, what do y'all feel about Temu and Shein? I heard they have forever chemicals. Cheap isn't always good. Now, facts. I mean, again, it's just kind of one of those things where people are going to go for the best deal. Temu, Shein, Fashion Nova. You can throw a lot of these. What are these like? Logistics, like third-party websites.
Bro, they find a way to give you these cheap-ass products and they get you addicted to their deals and free stuff. It's like an addiction.
There's always a sale. There's always a discount.
Because it makes you feel like you're getting the most out of your money.
Oh, my God. Even though this shit is like pennies on the dollar to make anyway.
Oh, God. And then you wonder why it barely works.
Or you wonder why it has forever chemicals in it and they're able to so cheaply mass produce.
Or you wonder why the clothing you bought from there done gave you a rash.
Like your ass think you got a deal on makeup. Little do you know you bought some fucking shit that's about to fuck your skin up.
Boy, you bought some fake nails off. You saw some fake nails and some fake eyelashes off Temu, and you wonder why your eyes swole. Okay.
Or even the clothes, like they using dirty ass fabrics, or they're using fabrics that again aren't really gonna sit right on your skin. Like you said, now you got a rash on your back. You wonder where you got it from.
Went through the roof. We saved thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs. They were all going out of business because they were dumping washing machines. And when I put the tariffs on, they became successful businesses. No, it didn't. Not only didn't it cost people, it made our country stronger and more powerful, and it kept jobs.
But how do you make sure that consumers don't wind up paying more? Will you punish CEOs who try to pass the cost of tariffs onto their customers?
Well, the market's going to take care of it. I mean, actually, the market takes care of it. And if it doesn't, we adjust it somewhat. But in the case of Whirlpool, or let's say companies that made washing machines, they were all being put out of business by the dumping from, in particular, South Korea and China. And when I put the tariffs on, very substantial tariffs, although peanuts compared to what people do to us, what countries do to us, it became a very, very powerful, successful company. Now, let's say I didn't do the tariffs. It would have gone out.
And it is Call In Sunday, man. We appreciate the support. We got over 200 of y'all in here, guys. Make sure to like the stream. Show some support, S.E.T Key Media, man. Double tap that screen, whether you're on your phone, laptop, tablet, TV, man. Show some support. Like the video. You could also hit the 3 buttons in the upper right-hand corner. Members, feel free to call in, guys. You guys know what it is. Anybody else, all we ask is a $5 super chat donation to the stream, and we'd be more than happy to host your call. Beyond that, any thoughts, questions, comments, anything you guys want to get off your chest, go ahead and super chat into the stream. $1 or more, we'll pull it across stream, give you a shout out, interact with it, man. S.E.T Key Media, man, we love to keep it interactive, so keep showing some support, guys, and we're going to keep this thing going.
Appreciate y'all, man. Let's keep it going.
Out of business, you would have lost tens of thousands of jobs, and you don't include that in your equation. No, they make a lot of money. I'll go a step further. Tariffs are going to make our country rich. Tariffs are going to help us pay off $35 trillion in debt. Tariffs are going to make our country safe because China, as an example, doesn't want to play games with us if we're going to do tariffs on them. They don't want to play games. And we have a lot of games being played on us right now.
Well, I think, and that takes me to my next question.
Yeah.
Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example. With Canada,
I would say, well, they can be imposed, but I would like them to just stay as a negotiation tactic. That's what I'd hit her with. I mean, I would hope they wouldn't want me to tax their economy to death or tax their business out of, well, I would say this, tax their business closed. I would hope. So yeah, I would hope that it would just stay as a negotiation tactic, but knowing that I will do it.
Hey guys, like the video, guys. Over 200 of y'all in here. 15 likes is damn near criminal, guys. Let's get some more people in on the conversation. People from opposing sides. You don't gotta like Trump. You can hate him, love him. Let's just have some good discourse, good conversation. Like the video, get it pushed in the algorithm. Double tap the screen, or you get the 3 buttons right above S.E.T's head.
Let's go.
in particular Mexico, we have millions of people pouring into our country. You agree with that? I spoke with both. I spoke with Justin Trudeau. In fact, he flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call ended.
Yeah.
He was at Mar-a-Lago. We were having dinner talking about it. I said, you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border too a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly, drugs are pouring in at levels never seen before, 10 times what we had. They're just pouring in. We can't have open borders. And I said to the president of Mexico and to Justin Trudeau, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%. That's a very substantial tariff. And in both cases, but in the case where it was really visible, within 10 minutes after that phone call, we noticed that the people coming across the border, the southern border, having to do with Mexico, they were at a trickle, just a trickle. It was, in fact, I call the border. See, unlike my opponent, I do call the border a lot. And I said, how's the border looking today? They said, there's nobody here. They couldn't believe it. The military stopped these vast groups of people. You know, we call them caravans, but they had caravans of people and they largely stopped them. Now, they're going to have to continue that. But if they don't continue, and the other thing I told them is no more drugs. And I told that to China too. I had to deal with President Xi. Had the election been different, I'm going to be very nice because we don't have to get into an argument over 2020. But had the election been different, the result been different, we would have had China giving the maximum penalty, which is the penalty of death, to people that sent fentanyl into this country. But Biden didn't, unfortunately, finish that discussion up. I had an agreement with President Xi, who I got along with very well. We've had communication as recently as this week. And I had communication with him where they were going to give the death penalty to anybody sending drugs into the United States.
This week you had that conversation.
Not that conversation, but I had other conversations. Okay. But in the past, I've had that conversation.
Let me ask you about another aspect of the economy, sir, the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage has been $7.25 since 2009. There are 20 states that still have the federal minimum wage at $7.25. And I actually have a map. 19 of these states actually voted for you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it right here. I don't know if you remember this, but during the debate in 2020, I asked you if you would raise the minimum wage. You said you would consider it. And so my question for you is, now that you are going back to the White House, for these 19 states that voted for you, are you going to raise the federal minimum wage? It's a very low number.
I will agree. It's a very low number. Let me give you the downside, though. Yeah. In California, they raised it up to a very high number.
Right.
And your restaurants are going out of business all over the place. The population is shrinking.
Because your average mom and pop can't afford to pay a teenager $20 an hour.
I'm gonna be real with you. It's like the biggest gaslight ever. It's like, hold on. Instead of trying to push these costs on every business from small to large, why don't y'all just make affordability easier in California? Like, what's making life so expensive in California where y'all feel like the mom and pop shop can't pay a teenager $7 to $8, maybe $10 an hour, but you're forcing them of a minimum of 15? Like, bro, the most employees they can afford is maybe like 3.
What's the minimum wage in Cali? I think it's upwards of 19 or something like that. Look that up real quick. I think it might be 19 in California. It's just something that, again, your average run of the mill or just regular entrepreneur probably can't afford to pay. Like, it's actually crazy, guys. I mean, unless you're like a Target or a Starbucks or any of these bigger companies, I mean, it's no sweat off your brow. But for, you know, an entrepreneur, a vying entrepreneur, that's just trying to make it, just trying to survive out here, guys. That's putting most people out of business.
16 an hour.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, 16 an hour, bro. And you want to know minimum wage out here in Ohio is like 10.90, 10.70, 10.90. I think we got a 20 cent increase. And I'm like, bro, that's
It
affordable.
reflects the cost of living, though.
Yeah, dude. But that's affordable though. Now, the cost of living in Cali, at this point, I have to ask these Cali people, is it smart to even open a business in Cali? A small business at that. If you're a big business, cool, go to California. You can afford it. But if you're a small business trying to make it in Cali, I mean, you're in the wrong spot.
When you add in the theft and how crazy the taxes are out there in Cali, I mean, it's like, why would I want to start my business out here?
Oh,
And I
God.
got to pay somebody's teenage son
Insurance,
$16. A kid who doesn't know shit, I got to pay his ass $16.
and it's hard to get insurance and all that crazy stuff. So it's like, bro, what's the point?
Trying to be a business owner in Cali ain't
It's
hitting
like,
how I used to.
Bro, if they keep going on with these policies, bro, Cali's gonna be like small business, like desolate. It's like there's gonna be nothing.
People are already leaving in a mass exodus, not just celebrity guys, not just entertainers. It's people who making money. It's people who've been there for generations. I've had a store. I had a corner store. I had a liquor store. I had a business in Cali for 20, 30 years. But bro, due to the politics, again, the crime, the police not being able to police anymore, the taxes, I'm leaving. I'm going to other states like Texas, Florida,
And a lot
Tennessee.
of people don't really know that. I'm like, bro, the people who pay minimum wage are usually these low skill jobs. So when you usually ask people, have you ever been paid minimum wage? Well, if you've been working your whole life, most likely yes.
Yeah, bro. Starting out, everybody was paid minimum wage. I mean, well, not everyone, but I'm going to say most people. If you get a job at 15 years old, 14 and a half, come on, guys. I was working when I was 15 years old.
Oh, God. Like, bro, yeah. I was working since I was like 16, 17, and I started out with $5 an hour.
I was making $8.40.
So,
I think the minimum wage was like $8 or something like that. Well, actually, for you,
it was tips.
Yeah, because you were a pizza driver.
Sliding with the pizzas.
So, yeah,
it is what it is.
It's one of them things, guys. But yes, definitely made minimum wage. Definitely had to, eat S.E.T on that end before. So we definitely are speaking from experience on that.
Until we upped our skills.
That's what you got to do. But for you to think that a non-skilled laborer is supposed to make upwards of $16, $17 an hour, I mean, does Cali even have the highest national minimum wage?
I believe so. It has to be Cali. I can look it up though. But let's keep it going.
It's had a very negative impact, but there is a level at which you could do it. Absolutely. Yeah.
What is that level?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I can say this. You have a lot of businesses that are open and thriving because of the lower minimum wage. If you raise it too much, and you understand this, if California went crazy, they went crazy. And the restaurants are closing all of them. Many more people are hurt.
So I hear you saying, similarly to sort of what you said in 2020, will you consider it? Is this something you're going to look at?
I'd want to speak to the governors. And the other thing that's very complicated about minimum wages is places are so different. Mississippi and Alabama and great places are very different than New York or California. I mean, in terms of the cost of living and other things. So it would be nice to have just a minimum wage for the whole country, but it wouldn't work because you have places where it's very inexpensive to live, where a minimum wage, which is $8 or $9.
That's a great point Trump is making. Like, it comes down to state legislator, because if say a respective state, I'm not sure what was on that list. Like, say like a South Dakota, right? Inexpensive to live out there, low cost of living. It would be a disservice to a lot of other states to make a blanket $15 national minimum wage when it just doesn't cost that much out there in South Dakota to do that.
I mean, we can make the same comparison to I'd say Ohio and Cali. It just don't cost as much to live in Ohio than Cali. Period, point blank. I mean, and we can go off the weather or real estate or whatever, but We just know that
Rent,
bro,
groceries, guys, gas.
exactly, like gas is higher over there, taxes, like bro, cost of living is overall higher. So to try to give us that same $16 an hour would crush a lot of small businesses here.
Exactly. Everything from top to bottom is, I mean, day-to-day life is just more expensive out there in Cali versus somewhere again like maybe in South Dakota, Ohio, for reference, guys.
And you know, it's crazy. It would only affect these low-skill jobs. It was not going to affect anywhere, I guess, anywhere like factory level plus.
Right.
Because, you know, those guys are already paying over the minimum wage already. So anywhere like restaurants, Walmart, those places like that are going to get affected. And they're going to start hiring less if the minimum wage is raised. It just is what it is.
Might be, you know, might have very little effect because the cost of living in certain places is really low.
Before we move on to immigration, which I do want to talk about, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said he will not leave his post even if you ask him to. Will you try?
Because the cost of living in certain places is really low.
Before we move on to immigration, which I do want to talk about, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said he will not leave his post even if you ask him to. Will you try to replace Jerome Powell?
No, I don't think so. I don't see it. But I think if I told him to, he would. But if I asked him to, he probably wouldn't. But if I told him to, he would.
You don't have plans to do that right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's talk about mass deportation, one of your big agenda items. You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal histories.
Correct.
But is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it. And it's a very tough thing to do. But you have to have, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally. The people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to be able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are in for murder. So we had 11,000. And
I feel that sentiment. It's like, yo, if y'all not willing to like acclimate, to assimilate to our culture, then you shouldn't be here. Like, first, I do like when they say, yeah, if you can't tell us what the amendment is, you can't tell us about the constitutions and all that, you can't tell us about, how much you love this country, then, and most importantly, you're not willing to learn English, you don't need to be here. You don't, because there's other immigrants who are willing to do so. So I think it is also disrespectful what the Biden administration did do to those immigrants who's willing to follow our laws, who are willing to come in the right way, acclimate to our society, actually love and embrace our society instead of breaking the law, crossing over, and then causing violence in our society, causing mistrust in our society, social social disorder in our society. There's a lot of ways they could have did this, but they chose the wrong way.
13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family, and they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No, it's within the 3-year period. It's during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm saying this. We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their mental institution, no matter what country it is. Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they've ever been?
And shout out Jazz. He says, for the call-in, she's already prepared, man. Appreciate you, Jazz.
And they're taking their people out of those prisons by the thousands, and they're drunk. And just to get back, because I know exactly what you're getting at. Number one, we're doing criminals, and we're going to do them really rapidly. We're getting the worst gang probably with MS-13, and the Venezuelan gangs are the worst in the world. They're vicious, violent people. And you see what they've done in Colorado and other places. They're literally taking over apartment complexes. And doing it with impunity. They don't care. They couldn't. They just are. They're in the real estate business.
You know,
Okay.
the local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's
but
totally the case. I mean, I
they,
have it
you
on
don't
tape.
believe the local
I
police.
play it. I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No, it was they're breaking into doors. They're taking over the building.
But sir, you
And by the
raised
way,
the point.
the police are afraid to do anything.
You raised the point.
The police are demoralized. Like, I could speak to that on Springfield, Ohio. Like, they had our governor, Mike DeWine, sent state police,
Then state police, state
highway
state
patrol. I'm sorry. They sent them to
Yeah.
Springfield just to do traffic out there because some of the foreigners that have came over are
Hey,
causing such a traffic issue. It's hard for local police to keep up with. There's an accident on every corner of Springfield just because of these people not knowing how to really drive.
And they're quite literally crashing out.
Not facts. So state police have been sent over there to manage the situation. And again, it is kind of just one of those things where they don't even really pull up with the same spirit just because like they are dealing with so many traffic accidents. It's like, bro, it's become so common. It's become so normalized out there.
Point that the logistics are complicated. You said
Sure
it
they
yourself.
are,
You would
but
need
everything's
24
complicated.
Yeah, you mean you need 24 times more ICE detention capacity just to deport 1 million people per year, not to mention more agents, more judges, more planes. Is it realistic to deport everyone who's
You have
here
no
illegally?
choice. First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
Who are the others?
Others are other people outside of criminals. We have convicted murders. We don't mean people that are even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people are on our streets and in our farms.
And we got 200 plus of y'all in here, man. Make sure to double tap that screen for me to like the video. Hit the 3 dots up there above my head. We appreciate the support. And the more you like, the more people we can get in the conversation, guys. Let's go.
We have to get them out of our country.
What about dreamers, sir? Dreamers who were brought to this country illegally as children. You said once back in 2017, they, quote, shouldn't be very worried about being deported. Should they be worried now?
The dreamers are going to come later, and we have to do something about the dreamers because these are people that have been brought here at a very young age, and many of these are middle-aged people now. They don't even speak the language of their country. And yes, we're going to do something about the
What does
dreamers.
that mean?
And
What are you going to do?
I will work with the Democrats on a plan, and if we can come up with a plan, but the Democrats have made it very, very difficult to do anything. Republicans are very open to the dreamers. The dreamers, we're talking many years ago, they were brought into this country, many years ago. Some of them are no longer young people. And in many cases, they become successful. They have great jobs. In some cases, they have small businesses. Some cases, they might have large businesses. And we're going to have to do something with them. And
You want them to be able to stay. That's what you're saying.
I do.
Okay.
I want to be able to work something out. And it should have been able to be worked out over the last 3 or 4 years. And it never got worked out. You know, Biden could have done it because he controlled, Congress to a certain extent, right? He could have done something, but they didn't do it. I never understood.
It's so funny. What Trump is talking about is kind of what Hillary was kind of speaking on back in the day. Remember that video she was talking about? Oh, well, yeah, if you committed a crime, you got to leave. But, if you got a job here, you had a family here, you're willing to learn English, you're willing to learn about our culture, then, all right, we could work something out. We're not heartless. But to the criminals that made y'all way over here, y'all got to go. We're heartless towards y'all. We ain't trying to hear nothing from y'all.
That's just a reasonable, sensible position. Like, think about it. You've been over here, and like you said, some of these people aren't young anymore. They're middle-aged. They've made a name for themselves, for their family, small, mid, large businesses. Yeah, we got to be able to work something out with these people, not just because of humane reasons, moral reasons, but because they actually serve a purpose here in America. They're helping out, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to work something out.
So for all of us that thought, y'all don't have a heart for these dreamers and all that. No, we just don't have a heart for the ones that are criminals. Hey, killers can be dreamers too. They can dream about strangling your ass. All right, let's get back to it.
Understood why, because they always seem to want to do it, but then when it comes down to it, they don't. I think we can work with the Democrats and work something out.
Let me ask you about another group of people, the estimated 4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but
Yeah.
the kids are here legally. Your borders
You're
are
talking
Tom
about
Homan.
separation.
Yeah, well, there are two aspects to this. Your Czar Tom Homan said, they can be deported together. Is
Correct.
that the plan?
Well, that way you
Yes.
keep those. Well,
Yes.
I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all.
Or them all at once.
Yeah,
So I
mean,
know it sounds harsh, but if y'all want to talk about, oh, well, it's inhumane to separate these children from their families.
all right, cool.
Send them all back together then.
Yeah, they can leave
On
together.
the same plane, on the same van they came in on. And I
Yeah.
know, I mean, a lot of you don't like it, but if you want to talk about keeping them together, that's the only way to do it.
Yep. I'm sorry, but all right, cool. I don't want to separate families either. Cool. We'll send them back to their country together as one family, one happy family on that bus back to their country.
All back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well,
Think about it. I mean, it's a risk that you're taking as you immigrate into the country. Like, it is a risk, a calculated risk, a risk that hopefully pays off, but it is just that, a risk. So if you're the parent of one of these dreamer children, or you're the parent of one of these anchor babies, and you thought that that was gonna always work, you thought that that was always gonna be able to keep you in America, then, bro, there is a day where we all have to face consequences for some of our actions, even if it's
Yeah.
years later.
And if you're just here to abuse the system, you gotta go. Yeah, sorry.
Simple as that. You
Right.
got off when you did, but I guess it only works for so long.
It ends today.
those. Well, I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally?
Well, what you going to do if they want to stay with the
Years,
father?
like, I
You
ain't
have to
gonna
have
lie.
rules and regulations. You can always find something out, like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job, and you have to have a series of standards and a series of laws. And in the end, look, our country is a mess. We have the highest crime rate, and during the debate, a man whose ratings have gone way down, David Muir, said to me, no, crime is, because I had to debate 3 people, not one. Debating 1 was easy. Debating 3 was actually pretty easy too, if you want to know the truth. But David Muir said, the crime rates have gone down. I said, no, they've gone up.
I ain't gonna lie, seeing Trump back in action is great, man. You gotta love it. Very charismatic, always talking his ish, man. You gotta appreciate a guy like that. It's just like, what do you mean? It was a 3v1, but even then, I still ate up on them.
Oh, God, even then, I still made my
What
point.
do you mean? It was easy. Y'all see me on stage. I was doing my thing.
Like, come on, if I didn't, would I be here? It's like, I love it.
I was doing my thing. I was doing my thing.
Hey, man, shout out Trump.
And then the following day, they released the crime rates, and they were way up.
Yeah, and the
Way up.
FBI statistics are, you're talking about those FBI statistics.
Well, no, but
which are
he gave the wrong answer. The
confusing
crime rates
based
have
on what
gone-
you're looking
Yeah,
at.
but a lot of that is migrant crime.
Let me ask you about another aspect of
Christian,
this.
you know, a lot of it's migrant crime.
Well, let me ask you about another aspect of this that I think a lot of people are really curious about. I mean, 3% of the people who are here illegally have criminal histories, but in your first administration, you had the zero tolerance policy where we did see family separation.
Yeah.
You ended it. The purpose of that, though, to some extent, you
And
talked
by the
about
way,
this at the time, was
you
deterrent.
also had it with Obama. You do know that.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
And shout out Ray, $5. Appreciate that. She says, I guess I want to know why is Mexico allowed to let these people come? I say 10K per head count. Ooh.
Yeah, I bet they stopped letting them come over there.
I mean, the catch and release program was always a good concept to me. Like,
But stay in Mexico. It was to stay in Mexico.
it was the catch and release and stay in Mexico.
yeah,
right?
it had to be together.
So I just don't get how we got away from that. But now you make a good point. Like, how much money they, like I said, bro, these immigrants are a net negative of 60K per head. So it does stand to reason. Like, we got to recoup some of this money somehow. We should maybe charge, if not Mexico, some of the countries that these people are migrating from. Like, somebody's got to foot the bill. Why is it always got to be America? Why is it always got to be us? Great point, though,
Ray.
Ray. Thank you, Ray.
Hey, shout out Ray, because I do actually that's a banger point, though. It's like, why we always got to foot the bill? Why can't we just charge Mexico 10K a head? And I bet you they'll put a wall over their own damn borders and be like, no, you cannot go past here. Y'all cost too much. No. Actually, no, fuck 10K. How much they cost us? Oh, they cost us 60. Give us 120.
Not facts.
For each identified Mexican over here, we're charging you 120. If they got a criminal record, we're sending them back. We're still charging you 120.
And man, that's really be Trump's policy. Like all the stuff these countries, these companies have been getting off on America on for years, for decades. Like, nah, y'all gonna have to start paying. It's gonna take a leader with some balls. I'll say it, some balls to reverse the slip, to make sure that this shit benefits us. Like you can't just keep taking from us and then expect it just to keep going that way. We finally got somebody in office who's like, nah, y'all got to start paying in us. It got to make sense for us.
Yep, we out here slapping hands and telling people no. What they say, daddy's back in office.
And you also know he built the jails for children.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
But in
I wanna-
2014, he built the jails. You know that.
I want to ask you about the zero tolerance policy. I mean, he didn't have a systemic, we're going to separate families. Families were separated when parents were a threat to the kids.
We
Let-
don't have to
let me ask
separate
you
a
about
family.
this.
Excuse me, Kristen.
Yeah.
We don't have to separate families.
Yeah.
We'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came. That way the family's not separated.
So no more family separations. You're not
Well,
reviving
it
the
depends
zero
on the
tolerance
family. The
policy.
family may decide to say, I'd rather have dad go, and we'll stay here. And in which case they have that option.
But you're not going to
Hey.
revive your zero tolerance policy, which was put in place.
I mean, hey, that's a lot of wiggle room he's giving. That's a lot of understanding he's giving right now. A lot of, I'm being real, he's being reasonable.
I let the kids can stay, but dad got to go, and the family signs
Bro,
up and agrees for it.
This is not as bad as how the liberals are painting it. And it's even in, and I ain't gonna lie, the horror story that they were painting, I was for. I was like, they're gonna send all of them back. They don't even care, even if they were born. I'm like, okay, cool, gotta be what it is.
Honestly,
What
to
it
that
is.
point, he's saying this got risk got pissing some conservatives off. It's like, oh, what do you mean? I wanted them to all go back. Like he's saying this at risk of pissing off even some people on the far right or on the further to the right, right? So this is a stance that, like you said, is lenient, it's benevolent, really. You're not gonna lie. It's showing a lot of grace here.
It's like y'all thought it was gonna be worse. I'm like, for real, I was hoping it was gonna be worse, but hey, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this. I have compassion.
Like what? Let the dreamers stay. Like, if you got a family and the father was the main migrant, we'll give y'all the option to send the father back. The family gets to stay. Like, this is a lot of grace being shown here. A lot of thought, a lot of respect to put in that decision.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a lot of savagery in Mexican families. I'll tell you that.
Man.
Like, you let Papi go home, and you ain't take us with you. We have to stay in America, Chico. We have to stay in America, mijo. Shut up, mijo.
As a deterrent, is there any universe
Shit,
where
any
you
minute
could bring
character
that
will
back,
make
sir?
We need
Let my
deterrence.
kids stay. Hell yeah.
Oh God,
Look,
get
ready?
that opportunity.
When somebody comes here illegally, they're
Or
going out.
The
It's
dad
very
expecting
simple.
them to go, and mom.
When they
just
come
like,
here illegally, they're going
Going?
out. Now, if they come here illegally, but their family is here legally, then the family has a choice. The person that came in illegally can go out, or they can all go out together.
So, but
And that was made very clear by Tom Homan.
so you're not at this point in time planning to revive that zero tolerance policy where kids are
Well, if you call that, yeah,
separated.
I'm doing what I just told you I'm going to do. I don't want to send the family out. I don't want to send anybody out. But I'll tell you, we have to, because otherwise we have no country. If we don't have borders, and if we don't have voting, good voting, fair voting, do you know they're still counting votes in San Diego, California? Listen, they're still counting the votes. This is almost 4 weeks. They're still counting the votes. If we don't have fair elections and honest voting and machines that work quickly, if you had paper ballots, every election will be over by 10 o'clock in the evening.
So let me ask you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Let me before we get
And
to
you get a much more accurate count.
before we get to all of that. Let me ask you about some of your other promises on this topic. You've
Okay.
promised to end birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
And shout out, man. If y'all enjoying this Trump interview, go ahead and drop a like. Double tap that screen for us, or you get the 3 buttons in the upper right hand corner. Shout out Ray, $5 more. What about 100? What about the 100,000s of kids who went missing in foster care? Why wouldn't migrants want their kids with them? Don't Dems think our systems are a threat? That is a great point. Yeah, I mean, on that one, it's kind of like their policy conflicts with their true ideology. Like, oh, don't separate the families, but so many families have already been separated. You got thousands of kids, unaccompanied, unaccounted for minors who have been lost in the foster care, or just, again, we don't have any documentation of them.
There was some kid that we took in from the border because we felt bad for him because he got lost from the guys who was transporting him. They said he couldn't. He said, "Oh, no, he didn't get lost." He said, "Oh, they said I couldn't pay up no more, so they just left me." And the kid was out there crying in the fucking desert. It was like, what the hell?
And to that point, Tom Homan himself and the former Border Patrol specialist had admitted to hundreds of thousands of kids being caught up or lost, unaccounted for after crossing over. Like, we don't even know where they've gone to, and the dark reality of it is a lot of these kids have probably been caught up in some type of trafficking. So it is a sad reality, very sad reality, guys.
And all right, man, we got our man Don's up here, man. Don's, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I was just eating a piece of pizza while I was waiting. So along the lines of the whole people talking about like Doge and like all this other stuff, I don't think people realize what they mean by spending cuts. So there's a lot of meaningless spending in the United States government.
Don, did you say Doge?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. We'll get back to that topic. Did you have anything on the border and like
the border? Yes, 100%. So I know this is, this is along the whole conspiracy theory side of things, but the dots connect. So, we're going to leave it as a conspiracy. I don't think it is.
I'm listening.
But we'll leave it as a conspiracy. The reason why Biden just let the borders open is, let's be honest here. The big man took $20+ million from China. Where does the fentanyl originate from? China. Where does the fentanyl come through from? The southern border. Why hasn't he enforced the southern border? Maybe because he took $20+ million from China to let them through the southern border with the fentanyl.
Oh, I like the weave you did on that.
I like that. That's a nice connection. A smooth one. It makes sense. It tracks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody was wondering. Everybody was wondering where he was going. Like, hold on, how does China relate to Mexico? Oh, the fentanyl is coming from China to the Chinese triad, all the way out there to the Mexican cartel and coming to here. It all makes sense now. Hopefully, y'all made that connection, guys.
The dots connect. I mean, it's still a conspiracy theory.
Nah, facts. Let me ask you this, Don. How you feel about the dreamers? You feel like, like Trump said, a lot of these dreamers aren't even kids anymore. They're older. You feel like they should be able to stay? Do we feel like we should work out a deal with these people? What about
dude, I support the American dream. You're talking to someone who's the product of the American dream. Like my mom, originally from Sicily, grew up in Japan because they moved there for work. My dad, originally from Ireland, moved here in the United States as a kid, grew up in America, joined the Marines, ended up over in Okinawa on a military base, met my mother, you know what I mean? Then he brought her back to the US with him. Like, he had me and my older brother over there in Japan. I was, 4 years old when I finally came to the US with my father. So I get it. You know what I mean? I get the American dream. I understand it. I hold dual citizenship to the United States and Japan, but I am more towards I'm a patriot, right? Like, I'm American to my core, but like,
but it's like citizenship, bro. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I have dual citizenship, man. I was born in Japan. My dad was an officer in the Marines, so he was able to live off military base.
We did the exact definition of we say military kid, but you know what they usually say, military brat or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like, and my dad's service is what made me want to get into volunteer firefighting. I wanted to help people, and I'm all for the American dream. You would like I've said before, conscripted military service, right? To get into the United States for citizenship is not a bad option, and we've done it. We did it during World War II. And we still do it. I think it is still an option on immigration, but they don't talk about it much. You should.
But all right, Don, we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and bring you back in for the next one. We got to keep the video pushing though, but we appreciate your insight. We're gonna bring you back in. All right, big dog.
Yep, I'll just watch from the Streamlabs rather than have to switch 24/7.
You're good.
All good. All good.
All right, let's keep it going.
Shout out Don's
administration. You had the zero tolerance policy where we did see family separation.
Yeah.
You ended it. The purpose of that, though, to some extent, you talked about this at the time, was deterrent.
You also had it with Obama. You do know that.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
And you also know he built the jails for children.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
But in 2014, he built the jails. You know that.
I want to ask you about the zero tolerance policy. I mean, he didn't have a systemic, we're going to separate families. Families were separated when parents were a threat to the kids.
We don't have to separate a family.
This.
Excuse me, Kristen.
Yeah.
We don't have to separate families.
Yeah.
we'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came. That way the family's not separated.
So no more family separations. You're not
Well,
reviving
it
the
depends
zero
on the
tolerance
family. The
policy.
family may decide to say, I'd rather have dad go, and we'll stay here. And in which case they have that option.
But you're not going to revive your zero tolerance policy, which was put in place as a deterrent. Is there any universe where you would bring that back, sir?
We need deterrence. Look, ready? When somebody comes here illegally, they're going out. It's very simple. When they come here illegally, they're going out.
That's kind of my stance too, guys. Like, and again, I know it is divisive. I know it's kind of incendiary to think or say, but understand this. It's like, how do we detract people from doing that? How do we deter people, I should say, from doing that? If there's no consequence of people illegally migrating, all for migrating over here, but illegally migrating, coming in through the back door and knowing that the only thing they have to